Okay, so we had a fair few questions come in from our athletes from the day today. So I thought it would be much easier to make a video, and obviously it'll help others that are in the preseason as well. So this is just a bit of a preseason FAQ. So the first one's going to be managing the preseason loads relative to what's happening in club training. So unfortunately, due to potentially resources with lack of S&C, potentially due to just the way things are done in terms of loading and the actual thought process behind the actual strength and conditioning side of things, some of our athletes from different codes, different levels, different ages can get some pretty sporadic loadings, and you can end up with some pretty sore bodies. So what we usually do in this period of time is get some communication in terms of what's actually happening from Tuesday, Thursday, and we have to turn into quite reactive and manage it, usually with a bit of a top up on a Saturday. So we usually chase a bit of feedback. From there, whatever you've done on Tuesday, Thursday, and whatever you've missed, we'll then try and top up on the Saturday. So if you didn't get some proper speed exposure over that 90%, we'll then give you potentially just speed on a Saturday and top it up there. Maybe you've missed some conditioning, or you missed some other pieces of change of direction loading or something, we can then top it up on the Saturday, being reactive from what's happening. And then once we get a bit of a roll on, what we'll usually do for athletes is chuck in some top ups in their actual programs. And then on the Tuesday or Thursdays, potentially more so on the Thursday, they can get to the end of the week and go, well, we didn't get a proper conditioning dose. I've got my program and I'm going to top up with this little bit of conditioning extra work. So managing that preseason load is just being very reactive, get through what you're getting through in those preseason sessions, whether they're really good or whether they're maybe not so ideal. Just tick off those boxes, and then from our standpoint, like someone going into a private sector kind of facility, we can manage that with a top up on a Saturday or later in the week. So that question then will follow into the next one, which is like preseason schedule. So we'll usually go on Monday, Tuesday in terms of Monday gym, Tuesday on the field or court or whatever it might be. And depending on the individual and schedules and work and stuff, I'm a big fan of having like a Wednesday completely off. So you get that 2 decent days of loading, and then we can have a low stress day to try and manage that a bit. And then we can go back up for the rest of the week and then come down on the Sunday. So adjusting it that way, Monday gym, Tuesday court or field, Wednesday off, Thursday with potentially an upper body, and then your court field session, and then Friday a bit of a full body session, and then potentially your Saturday top up as well there. So just managing that around a little bit more and trying to manage that soreness as much as we possibly can, get some rest days, and set up a really ideal schedule relative to you, because that could obviously change from that schedule I just said there. And then the last one's just going to be progressing in the gym during preseason. So there's a really good core group of athletes we've had here, and there would have been across all sports, where we've had this really perfect world off season. You've ticked all the boxes, everything's been managed and controlled for you in the gym, out in the court or field. Get into preseason and there's chaos and there's different random loadings, and you're sore here all of a sudden and bits and pieces. So it's important to kind of take that pressure off and stop thinking that everything's going to be driving perfectly, everything's going to be progressing during this little period of preseason. There's going to be certain movements that obviously we can adjust as an S&C to chase some progress, but then there's going to be certain movements you can chase and get a bit of progress out when we're feeling a little bit better. But important message just specifically to the athlete is just pull that pressure off. Don't feel like you're trying to drive and progress on every single piece. Let your body adapt to this new level of stress across your body across this new week. And then from there, as we get some it starts to normalize, we can then start to build that load back up again.